Okay, I looked at CHS, which is the largest agriculture co-op owned by farmers and ranchers across the U.S. Their long-term sustainability strategies are to lower the impact on the climate by lowering greenhouse gas emissions and reducing deforestation risk. They are looking to serve people and communities by investing in rural agriculture and the future of agriculture. And they are looking to grow their co-op voice through stakeholder involvement and creating an ongoing connection with key participants in the process. A couple strengths I saw was that they support their owners and help them meet goals. Specifically looking at the environmental side, they're providing low-carbon nitrogen fertilizer to farmers, which is a key part of the crop production process, and they are allowing their farmers to fertilize while still lowering their carbon footprint. Another strength is that they're very people-oriented and looking to be inclusive. But with that, in their ESG form, they did not address the LGBTQ very much. They just briefly noted it and talked about wanting to be inclusive. And they also were more focused on the environmental side of things. Granted, they are an agriculture industry, and that's a lot with nature and the earth, but they had a little bit more on that. And then looking at the articles and the two different sides, Andrew Winston's article was pro ESG, and one thing that was interesting to me is that he had his 3 key parts of a company's role in society, and that was to keep doing what they're meant to do regardless of the voices around them, and that you can't avoid policy issues, and leaders must take a stand and be consistent in what they take a stand on. And the third thing being that they should do the right thing. And this one was interesting to me because he talked about how you should always know what the right thing is, but I think that it often depends on people's morals and what they believe and value. And then on the other side, the Christian perspective on ESG, specifically the Faith-Driven podcast one by Matthew Rains, he talked about how it all depends on our morals and our money. He referenced Matthew, which talks about where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. And that was a good reflection. And then he also talked about being salt and light in an evil and dark society, and I thought that was a very good reminder as well. And then looking specifically at CHS's strategy, I think that they can continue doing what they're doing. They're focused on the environment, but also being people-oriented, and they have a strong leadership team. They work together. They have a board of directors with 17 members that represent farmers and ranchers and people across the country. And they have many different parts working together to build this sustainability effort. And they're very focused on this, specifically in the people aspect. They're giving over $8 million to the community through 4-H and FFA and colleges, building up the next generation of agriculturalists. And then looking at the Reformed worldview, as Christians, we're called to be stewards of the resources God has blessed us with, understanding that nothing is ours. And we can do this by being stewards of nature through the environmental side of things in a company. And we are also called to protect the vulnerable and provide for the poor. And this can be seen through the societal side, being community-minded. And then it's our Christian responsibility to have integrity and be a witness in our work and follow our morals at work. And then one thing I saw from the reading that made me think a little harder was how big ESG really is. In Winston's article, he talked about how about 70 to 90% of people want CEOs to publicly state their view on these issues, and I just thought that was interesting. It's good to look at what society's core values are and what different businesses support. So this is my ESG reflection on CHS.